my Kinvians, and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Doctor Who. Finally, I'm getting around to watching the New Year's special known as Resolution, which I gotta admit, the naming of it I have to appreciate. It's like, New Year's resolution. Come on, it works, it really does. But I am very much looking forward to this. I'm watching this on the BBC America website, so I don't know if I'm going to be running into ads or not. Hopefully it won't cause too much issue. So if there's some jumps or anything like that, even in the actual full or extended version of the reaction here, I do apologize. I'll try to keep it as clean as possible. But let's get right into it with Resolution and see what the crew is up to. Or, I'm sorry, Team TARDIS is up to. The fam, if you will. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Are we going to talk about it?
Talk about what, Mitch?
Good question.
The kiss
Ah.
that happened?
Yeah.
Kissy than that, I'd say.
Aw.
Good, yeah, because it was more than that for me.
Cute.
Oh, thank God. I mean, great. I mean, amazing.
They're gonna die, aren't they?
Wow, I didn't sleep all night when I got home.
Okay. Oh, that something about it looked very familiar.
No? Could be a rat.
Sounds like the rumor was true.
I think that's something.
Oh, hi! That's terrifying. Can Daleks do that? Can they get into people? Because I can't help but feel like...
See there, Gramps. Gramps.
Haha! Okay, it's not in her, it's... Oh, no, I was wrong. It is in her. In some form.
This is the DNA of the most dangerous creature in the universe.
Yeah!
Does it have a name?
A Dalek.
Bum, bum, bum!
How is it getting about?
So this has to be something entirely new. Like, the Doctor wouldn't even have a concept of this. Of a Dalek taking over a human body.
You know what speed you were doing, love? 103 miles per hour.
They would say kilometers in the UK, wouldn't they?
You are. In this tiny corner of space and time.
No way.
Oh! Just notice the things up top.
No biggie.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, that is quite a biggie.
I know you can hear me right now. Who are you? I'm your secret conscience. Not really, we both know you don't have one.
Take the cabinet. They've gone without me.
Aww. Sorry, Graham.
MD said research. What was he doing?
First time that's happened in a while. Oh, yeah.
We're always with you.
They wouldn't have the Dalek kill one of them off, would they?
Listen.
Hi. Oh, yeah. It rebuilt.
I am rebuilt.
The steampunk Dalek.
What do you call this look? Junkyard chic.
Under the control of the
Oh. Okay, it does remember who the Dalek, the Doctor is.
Yes, I am.
Oh, they're all dead. God. Well, they didn't make it. Oh, jeez.
And a non-terrestrial form moving away from it.
Help me get the element out, right? It's metal.
Oh, you're good, Ryan's dad. You're almost making up for your parenting deficit. I know where he's heading. Oh, that Dalek just shut down the whole of Britain's internet.
Well, that's not cool.
On New Year's Day, when everything's shut and everyone's hungover? What a monster.
High voltage low ampage to low voltage, very, very high ampage.
Dad? You underestimate me,
Oh, no.
Doctor.
Oh, oh God. Okay.
It's an impossible opponent. And prevailed.
Oh. I'm happy. I am very happy. That was a phenomenal episode. That was so well done. I mean, personal opinion. I feel like this episode had probably the most solid writing of what happened the entire past series. Now, the past series, in my opinion, also had some very good, well-written episodes. It had some issues here or there, but there were a lot of really well-written episodes. This one right here, I feel like, did awesomely. Like, Chris Chibnall, however you pronounce his last name. Like, I've seen online people have been very much critiquing his writing, be it as, you know, just a writer for an episode or as a writer for the series as a whole, but in my opinion, this was some of his best work, to be completely honest. And again, saying that, I don't mean to take away from any of the excellent episodes of this past series, but they utilize an enemy of the Doctor that, I mean, to be completely honest, for a while now, the Daleks, they have felt like threats, but just in very short spurts. Like, they'll have moments in episodes where they feel dangerous. But in this episode, in this special, that one Dalek felt truly scary. Like, it felt like a real monster again. Not just the weird color-coded Daleks that we got a while back, the rainbow Daleks or whatever their nickname was. Like, this was a solid, well-done episode. Excellent utilization of a Dalek. Like, some of the best that's been on the show in a long time, in my opinion. Just, yeah, there was, to repeat myself yet again, excellently done. And if the writing in this episode is any indication, then we have a lot to look forward to in 2020 when Doctor Who returns. I am personally a bit upset that we do have to wait well over, like probably at least a year and a half before any new episodes come out. But that'll give me plenty of time to get caught up on classic Doctor Who. But all the same, it's just like the writing here, the past series, it had its ups and its downs. It had a few inconsistencies. It was experimental. It tried things that the show either hadn't done before or hadn't done in a very long time. And yeah, I did miss a bit of there being sort of an overarching plot in favor of the really episodes only counted, like, with the exception of like the first and the last, its connections. Each episode was really standalone for the most part. I feel like there were a lot of things to the last series that could have been utilized better had they done an overarching plot. Like in the second episode with the Ghost Monument, when they're talking about how the whatever they are, the Ice Guys, the race that Tim Shaw's a part of, I feel like they should have been sort of like, you know, the overarching threat, the one that was sort of like always there. I feel like that would have been utilized better. But in this one episode, this standalone, I feel like if they take what they were working with in that first series, or well, in series 11 rather, with the 13th Doctor, and they take the solidness of the writing in this episode, I feel like the next series is going to be phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. There's a long time to wait, and, you know, I don't want to get my hopes up too high, just because, I mean, you don't know how it's going to pan out until the show actually comes back. But this, again, just leaves me with such high hopes, and has me leaving feeling really, really good about not only the direction the show is taking, but the fact that maybe they'll be able to solid up the writing a little bit, and also, now that they have finally utilized a classic enemy of the Doctor, how they'll utilize other classic enemies of the Doctor in the upcoming series in 2020, admittedly. Or, who knows, whenever the next special comes out, which might be next New Year's, I don't know. But, to talk about some of my favorite parts of the episode itself, since I've gone on just fawning over this episode, the opening part where it showed those three tribes that apparently took out a Dalek, I really wish we had gotten to see a bit more of that. I mean, I know we saw some drawings and this and that. Maybe there's some like concept art for this episode that they'll be releasing, or they have released. But I'd really like to see more about that battle, more about what occurred, because, well, I mean, in general, in modern day, guns really don't do anything to Daleks. They've always been, like, you might be able to take one Dalek out with like an army of people. But back then they had only their primitive weapons, and maybe that gave them somewhat of an advantage, because clearly a Dalek, its greatest weakness seems to be when people get up close. It's like, you know, so its best thing to do would be to keep people at bay with its lasers and missiles, apparently. Just, yeah, whether it's through an animation or even a story like fan fiction even, I want that battle with that reconnaissance Dalek against these ancient tribes. I want to know that story. I want to know more about that battle and what occurred and how they ended up taking down this Dalek with superior technology, superior weapons. I just really want to see that. But that aside, the cosmic fireworks that it showed off when we finally did see the Doctor and her friends, like the display of the cosmic fireworks, that was a really cool effect, I do have to say. And I don't know if I've commented on this in the past, but I really like the TARDIS's new design. It does feel a little bit, perhaps, claustrophobic, like almost too small at parts, like we're not able to see much. But that may just be because in some of the other Doctors, it's like, you know, they've expanded it quite a bit. So, you know, just the sort of like more compressed, slightly claustrophobic feel isn't too bad necessarily. But also, it's like I knew that the center thing, whatever it is, goes up and down. I didn't know that those little arches or whatever they are actually moved up and down along with it. So that was kind of cool. That was a nice effect, I have to say. It's probably been shown in previous episodes too. I just didn't notice it, or maybe they just really haven't shown it before. It's hard to say, for me anyway. But moving on from there, the fact that a Dalek was able to take over a human vessel to become a pilot for another being, like not just their tanks or the Dalek tank, whatever you want to call it, its shell. But the fact that this one, apparently a special reconnaissance Dalek, sure, is able to actually take over a person's body and manipulate them to do its bidding. It's a really interesting and honestly a terrifying concept. It really, really is. And I guess it does make sense that this would be sort of something that's unique to a reconnaissance Dalek, since that's a thing now. Because the Daleks, they are the perfect race, and they exterminate all other life. So Daleks in general aren't going to want to take over the bodies of other creatures, of other species. But being a reconnaissance Dalek, it makes sense that in order to take over, they might have to assimilate. And maybe that's part of how that Dalek was able to, or they were able to take down that Dalek back in the 8th century, I think it was, 8th or 9th century. And maybe it wasn't in its shell for a while. Maybe it did possibly go from person to person and could create chaos in that way. It clearly can move very quick when it wants to. There's so many ideas come from this episode. But yeah, if there's ever an occurrence that they do run into either Daleks in general or more of these reconnaissance Daleks, and like say a small army or a unit of them that take over multiple people, that would be terrifying. That would... the ideas that could come from that are monumental, in my opinion. But moving on from there, I do like probably the best way to put a Dalek, other than space Nazi squid, would be alien psychopath. Really, I mean, that could be used to describe several of the alien species that have appeared on this show, but just an alien psychopath, it fits them so perfectly. It really, really does. One thing that really took me by surprise, though, and I don't know, I may need to rewatch this so I can fully grasp what the lady was saying about what happened to Unit, but Unit being suspended is like it sounds like they were defunded or their funds were removed. I don't know. It seems so bizarre, and maybe that's something that will come into play in the next series. Maybe Unit will start to come back, or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe just the whole, again, I may have been hearing it wrong, but sort of like the defunding was sort of a commentary on the BBC, maybe? Maybe they were because BBC lowered the Doctor Who budget or something like that. I don't know. I just don't know. If anyone does have any information on that, I'd really like to know. But I will be rewatching this, and I'll try to pay better attention at that part just to see if I can fully grasp what's going on and what the explanation is. Outside of all that, the handling of the family, with Ryan, his dad Aaron, and Graham, just the interactions with that, like, I'm not gonna lie, when Aaron's dad appeared, I expected just to not like him at all. And I expected, honestly, the show to just not pay him much mind. It's like, oh, he's there, okay, whatever, let's leave him. But they didn't do that. They treated him like a person. And one of the things that the series has done well with its characters is it humanizes its characters. Even certain characters that I've hated, like the not Trump guy from the Spider episode. I can't remember his name. He plays Mr. Big on Sex and the City. Anyway. He even had his humanized moments, but they really just... They developed the relationship with Ryan and his dad well. We got to see more of that. We got to see Ryan confront his dad. And we got to see, like, the guy playing Aaron's... Or not Aaron's dad, but the guy playing Aaron did a really good job. Like, he seemed lost in many ways. He seemed truly remorseful for the things he's done and the things that he's messed up on. Now, admittedly, the one thing that did bother me just the tiniest bit, I'm not saying it's not realistic, but the tiniest bit, was the fact that, in order to sort of snap Aaron out of it, Ryan said, "I forgive you, I love you." And it's like, I'm not saying he doesn't love him. It's like, he does. He's his dad. And in the moment, it's like, you might say you forgive him just to, I don't know, just to try and snap him out of it, and it's like, bring him back to earth, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know. There was something about that moment that just felt off to me, but it really, really worked. It went along with the progression, a bit perhaps too fast of progression, with the troubles that had been going on with Aaron and Ryan and Graham. But they did come to a resolution. And just because those things were said doesn't mean, automatically everything is fine. It's like, I'm sure in the next series we probably will see Ryan's dad at least a few more times. And, even though Ryan said he forgives him, I'm sure it's like that doesn't just automatically erase years of absence. So, again, I feel like they treated Aaron as a person. And I feel like that's going to continue as the series goes on, as long as Ryan, Graham, and Yaz are part of the show. So yeah, I really like how this show treats its characters. That being said, it really sucks that the Dalek just offed so many people. And oh my god, that security guard guy was so cute, talking about his boyfriend and everything. And then just all of a sudden, dead. Man, that's not cool. Of course, I mean... Okay, here's the thing. I remember in the first episode I got upset about how, or it bothered me, how they introduced the security guard where that one guy worked, because he was just, Skyping or whatever with his granddaughter, and then he died. For me, that didn't work because, there was supposed to be some form of communication, but we didn't have the communication coming back, or we didn't hear that coming back. But in this moment, it's a security guard, and he just mentions his boyfriend. He's a happy person, and we get to know that character's personality just the tiniest bit beyond just, oh, they're a security guard and he's a grandpa, or in this case, and he has a boyfriend. It's like we got just these little glimpses of this great personality, and just snuffed out. I hate that, but because of my reaction to it, I feel like it was well done because it gets a reaction out of me. So I do have to keep that in mind. So yeah. Anything else? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Just really what I said at the beginning. I think they utilized the Dalek excellently here. It has me very excited to see what they'll be able to do with the pre-existing creatures that came before on this show. See if and when more of them will appear in the upcoming series or in the next special, which whenever that will possibly take place. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to more of the 13th Doctor. Jodie Whittaker, you do an excellent job. I really do love her as the Doctor. And then Yaz, Ryan, and Graham. I mean, I've seen people talk about how most people seem to prefer just Graham. I love the team as a whole. It's just like they all have their own personalities. They all bring something to it. And they're well acted and, in my opinion, well written. While, again, some of the stories haven't been consistent exactly. I am looking forward to more of this crew come the next series. And it's going to be an unfortunately long wait, but I think it's going to be worth it. So everyone, thank you so much for being here for this episode of Discovering Doctor Who. For joining me here for watching Resolution. I am really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this episode. What did you think of it? And also, what are your thoughts on what I had to say about it in particular? Now, I know not everyone's going to agree with me, but please keep it civil and, just be kind. Please, just be kind to each other. So yeah, that's all I'll say there. Everyone, thank you so much again for being here. Unfortunately, this is the end of Series 11, but there will be more Doctor Who to come in the form of classic Doctor Who, more Torchwood, and who knows, possibly more. Maybe video games. It's hard to say. But for Christmas, I got myself I didn't get it for myself, but I received the Dr. Sonic, the new Sonic. And what better way to end the episode than kind of how I used to close out these episodes in general. So, until next time everyone, on the next video, whether it be a Discovering Doctor Who, Discovering Classic Who, Discovering Steven Universe, or Discovering anything else, I am Papa Ken, and until next time, Alonzi!